Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today in this video, we will see the different types of input fields that are there in HTML. As you can see, we have different types of input fields. So we will see them one by one. So let's start with our video. So for now, don't worry about this form tag. This I will explain in my upcoming video. But for now, we will see the different types of input fields. So the first type of input field is simply the type text, and I will use a label tag as well. And what is the use of label tag? Let me show you. So we have the first type of input field as simply text. So simply if I give the label as text, so what the label tag does is if we click this label that is the text, so it will make that input field active which is related to this label. So if I click this text, so see the input field that is this, the text got active as it is related to this. So we will make the use of this label in our examples. So this type of input field is basically used for in the registration form, like the name, like first name or maybe the last name. So let's say name. Then we have the input field as password. So simply this time the label as simply password, and input type would be simply password. Or let's have a line break in between so it will look clean. So now if I click this password label, it will make this input field active. See, and this input field is used for writing the passwords. So whatever you will write here will get encrypted as this is a field for your passwords. Then the next type is simply for your email. So let's say again, so this time the label as email and simply the type as email only. So see, we have input field for your emails, and we also have an input field as submit. So what this input type does, if we have a form and if we click this input type, our form will get submitted. So now let's say we have our input field as email. If we write something other than the required email format, that is @.com, anything, maybe Gmail or anything. So then if I click submit, so see, it will give an error, a validation error. So in the input type email, we cannot write anything other than the email. So the next type we have is simply a number. So let's say again a label, and inside the label input type simply a number, and here this time number. So here you can have the numbers, like you will be given a range of numbers. So see, you can select the numbers. So you can directly write some number and then increment or decrement that number. So the next type is simply your date. So we will do the same thing. This time let's say date, and again input type as simply date. So see, now we can choose the date. Let's say we have the option of choosing the year also. So see, our calendar got embedded in this. So the next type is simply the time. So similarly, we can have the time also. So let's say again, so this time instead of date, simply the time. So see, so this time we got the option to choose the current time. So the next type of input field is simply a checkbox. So this time the label for the checkbox and the type would be again the checkbox. So see, we got a checkbox and where this is used. So in your forms, like a registration form, you have mostly seen something like this. Like you have the option of, let's say, in the form you will be asked to click this, like I agree to terms and conditions, something like this, where you simply have this checkbox. You simply take this, right? Then we have input type as radio. So what does it mean? So simply a label. This time your radio button and the type would be your radio. So see, you got a small circle, right? And where it is used. So let's say you have seen something like this. So in your form, you get the option to choose between this, like male or female, or maybe any other option. So there you will design your radio buttons. Like if you click any one of them, the other's color will get removed. So the next type we have is simply to type as file. So this time the label would be simply file, and again, so see, you got the option to choose the file. So suppose if you apply for any jobs, there you will see an option to choose your resume. So that time you need to upload your resume for your job application. So there it is mostly used. Then the next type is simply your range. So the type would be range. So see, we got a slider. Then the next type is simply a color. So the label would be simply color and the type again. So see, so now you can choose different colors. So the next type is simply a URL. So the type would be simply URL. And this is also used. Let's say again the example of that job application. So there sometimes the company asks you to have some URL if you have, like your profile, like LinkedIn profile, or maybe any other website if you have, like simply like this. And here also, if you try to enter something other than the URL, and then if you submit, so see, it says please enter a URL. So the next type is simply your search. So the type would be simply search. So this input field is similar to the text that you have for your names, but in the website you will mostly see this input field for the search bars. So this input field is type search, which is optimized for your search results. Then we have the input type as submit that I have already shown. And at last we have the input type as reset. So as by the name, you can imagine what this input type will do. So for now, don't worry about this attribute, that is value. I will make a separate video on them later on. But for now in this video, I just wanted to show you the different types of input fields. So we have the input field as reset. So let's say we have some name, simply some password, and let's say, so let's just quickly fill this out. So what this reset input field will do, it will reset your form. So see, all the user inputs got reset. So yes, that's it for this video. Hope you understood about the different types of input fields in HTML. So see you all in the next one. Till then, take care.